Ever since the birth of the United States, there was always a multitude of social injustices such as racial segregation, gender equality, and many more. Over time, America has fought to combat these problems, resulting in many different outcomes. In terms of present-day injustices, sexual assault against women has been a huge issue for not just the United States, but for the rest of the world as well. Fortunately, there have been many movements to fight against such injustices. Of many possibilities, I have found that legalizing prostitution or the trade of sexual intercourse in the United States would be beneficial to America. So one of the main reasons as to why I believe legalizing prostitution will benefit America is because it will decrease violence against women. So right now, men or women may not, if they do not have, their needs or desires, they might, take extreme outcomes to get their result, and that may be, illegal, But if prostitution were to be legal, there would be, areas to provide such, pleasures in a more controlled environment where, security measures will be taking place. So in Chica Unigue's article from the New York Times Company, he stated that women who work legally enjoy huge benefits such as, health care, protection from violent customers, and protection from exploitation. And another problem people might think from legalizing prostitution is that it might increase sex trafficking, but according to David Anderson's article in the Listland, he stated that in Germany, when they legalized prostitution, cases of human sex trafficking significantly decreased by 10% from 2001 to 2011. Another reason as to why I believe prostitution will benefit America is because it will make the lives of sex workers healthier. Illegal or not, there will be prostitution anyway, And because it's illegal now, there are no rules or regulations to enforce, sanitary means, and this may, spread diseases and such around. But if it were legalized, the regulations will also, be enforced, and many of these problems may be, alleviated. So, and additionally, with illegal prostitution, many workers may be pressured to skip safety issues because, the environment might not be, safe or anything, and they might be pressured to do things they might not want to do, and they might not want to report that anyway because prostitution is illegal and they might fear of getting in trouble. So, in Nevada, there's actually a place that's legalizing prostitution, and apparently, every month they're required to get, tests for like diseases and such to ensure that their customers and clients are, safe from such diseases. And the last reason as to why I believe that legalizing prostitution will benefit America is because it will benefit our economy. Last time I checked, America's debt on the U.S. debt clock online, it was $21 trillion and increasing, but legal prostitution would generate a huge source of income for America to help alleviate that. And so, like I said, Nevada has an area where prostitution is legalized, and in John Halsey Wenger's article in Elite Daily, he says how it is legal there and that they are thriving in terms of economic prowess. But, okay, I'll just say his quote. His quote is, "The state, however, does not want to share in this revenue because it does not approve of the sex trade." So basically, Nevada's prostitution centers are doing well, but Nevada isn't, and they are all willing to give the money, but, it's prostitution, so they're not that. Okay, so, also, many resources are being allocated into finding illegal prostitutes, So, according to an article on Listland again by Dave Anderson, he states that each arrest of illegal prostitution is approximately at least $2,000, and yeah. And so, yeah. Prostitution is a pretty controversial subject, I would say, in America, but, if we look past our past beliefs, I believe that it could benefit our nation greatly, as it would, it would decrease violence against women, it would help our economy, and it would make the work lives of sex workers healthier.
All right, the proposition is identified, but you kind of have this interesting attention device that talks about all these other things that came about beforehand, and it feels completely disconnected to the argument that you're making. I think a more contemporary argument about the travails of prostitutes or the difficulty that they face would make a little bit more sense. There's no preview of what the supporting structure is going to be, so it would help the audience to be able to follow the argument for us to know what's coming. I think we've got a pretty good idea what prostitution is controversial. Defining what you mean by legalization is not as clear. If you're talking about the Nevada model, that's a little bit different than maybe what they do in other parts of the world, or if you're talking about legalizing any activity that people wanted to engage in, that's a little bit different also. So that could probably be clarified a bit. In the body of the speech, you do signpost some secondary claims. They are a little bit more distinct there, and I appreciated that. The first point suggests that it would decrease violence against women. Gesundheit. The notion that men just get aroused, and because they don't have anybody to have sex with, they go out and rape them, I think is a misunderstanding of what most sexual assaults consist of. And I think you'll find that there is a large school of thought that believes that that is not the relationship that exists. There may be some evidence that indicates that there would be an effect on the long run on some people's actions and behaviors that are criminal in nature, but you don't have really much data on this particular point, and I think that's a little problematic. The sex trafficking argument is kind of a rebuttal issue that's answering perceived hesitation or refutation that would be in the audience's head. That's not an unreasonable argument to make at that particular point. That's okay. The idea that the life and health of the sex workers is going to get better because they are going to be examined for diseases, or they'll be protected so that the clients have to keep their Jimmy caps on and stuff like that. I just think that that's, there's a lot of presupposition built into this. There's not much demonstration. Since you've got data from Germany, so what's the situation in Germany? Are the sex workers in better shape there? Are they less likely to have diseases? Do all of the customers keep their condoms on? There's no stealthing going on there, that kind of thing. Let's get some information about that. The monthly testing in Nevada, I'm not exactly sure that tells us that it's effective, that it's prevented disease. You need to have some follow-up data on that. All right, the economic issue, you never quantify what the potential economic income would be. You do suggest that we have a $21 trillion debt. So are you suggesting that prostitution is going to eliminate that $21 trillion debt? I think that that's a slight exaggeration, and it's probably not a good idea to use that as the standard, because it's certainly going to diminish the significance of any tax advantage that you have. You raised the actual issue that Nevada has with collecting the taxes in that particular situation, and I think that will probably be one of the arguments that the refutation speaker addresses as well. And then the cost of the arrest, well, we don't know how many arrests there are. We also don't know what the consequences are of not arresting, and I assume we're talking primarily here about street prostitutes, and is that going to change based on whatever policy you think or you want to advocate? I know you didn't phrase it as a policy claim, but there is kind of an implied policy that goes on there. All right, thank you.